V.S. Mani, Executive Director and Global Chief Financial Officer at Glenmark Pharmaceuticals, joining in with us right now. Mr. Mani, good morning, and thank you so much for joining in with us on ET Now. It's a pleasure having you on the show. I want to start by just talking about the domestic business first and the India business. That's seen a decent growth. 12% is what we're seeing this time. Could you just give us more details in terms of the value, volume, and new launches or new introductions that have come in? How is that shaping up in the India business so far?
So as we've seen, the India business has been doing well over the years for us. Even as per IQVIA MAT June, we've been growing at about 11.3% and against the industry growth of about 7.5%, 8%. So overall, we've always been growing ahead of the market as far as the India business goes. And in terms of, obviously, we have in-licensed a number of products and we see some of the products doing pretty well. But overall, if you look at it during the first quarter, our cardiac business as well as our derma business and some parts of the respiratory business all have done well for us. So I think on an overall basis, if you look at it, India continues to do well for us.
Mr. Mani, just a short while ago, obviously, you did have your con call. Some key highlights also came in, especially for the US market, where you're saying that, which has been under pressure, you're seeing a recovery coming in. On the global front, if you could just talk to us about how much is the recovery that you're expecting in the US market from the second half, what level of recovery, as well as in the European market also, what is the highlight that you could give us in the next second half of this year? What is the expectation that is there?
Sure. So I'll come first to the US. So obviously, US market has been under pressure, not just for us, but for some other participants in the industry. So we have back on of our respiratory, development capabilities. We have a couple of nasal sprays, that filings that are there. So we expect some of those approvals to come through in the second half of this year. So that's how we feel quite confident that we should be able to reach single-digit growth in the US. Besides that, in the little medium term, as you are aware, even in the past, we have kind of guided the street that we have kind of filed for Flovent. So that's a good product. So in the later part of next year, that should do well. So on an overall basis, while the US business is currently under pressure, we see some sort of the respiratory portfolio and picking up well there. And based on that, we see a decent growth in the US. As far as the Europe market goes, as you can see, in the last 2 to 3 years, been growing pretty well there. And that's again on the back of number of respiratory filings, as well as Raltris continues to do extremely well in the last 4 to 6 quarters. And current year, we have guided that we would grow from last year's $40 million turnover of Raltris to 80 million. So I think that should also do well. So I think overall, Europe business should grow at about 15 to 20% minimum. Okay. So I think so while US looks a little muted, Europe continues to do very well. So that should do well. And if you were to take the rest of the world market, I think the first 2 quarters last year were very huge growths. But on an overall basis for the full year, we see about a 10 to 15% growth in the rest of the world markets as well.
Mani, apologies if I missed this, but you did flag off Flovent. So I just want to know what is the timeline? You did mention that the benefits as well will be kicking in. So what's the approval timeline here?
So we have filed for it in May of 24. So I think we are hoping that we get the approval sometime early next year or later this year. So I think the product could get launched sometime next year. Yeah, that's a good product.
And your finance costs have reduced quite significantly from about 148 crore rupees in Q4 to 40 crores. So what does that take your current debt to, and what do you see it by the end of FY25? How is this going to help the overall operations?
So our assets now, we have a net cash position. We have about 359 crores. So I think broadly this year also we will end the year at a net cash positive position only. But we do see, because as you know, during the current year, we already guided that we have some payouts for the litigation, what we had in the US earlier. We have some payouts still left to do. Besides, we also have we expect the working capital to go up a bit. So based on all this, we continue to believe that we'll have a net cash positive position, but should be okay. And these interest rates where you see, interest costs where you see, they should stay where they are.
Mr. Money, what I want to understand is in terms of what is the contribution from Raltris in the consolidated business, and how much more market share gain is possible there, and new commercialization, when will we see that coming in also?
So current year, we expect it to be about like a $80 million product, but it is a good product with high margins. So I think going forward, we see, I mean, in the past also, we have kind of guided it should be like closer to a $150-200 million product in the coming years. And we already have, kind of filed it across close to 80 markets, and we already are selling it in about 40 markets. And we expect that Raltris to continue growing across the markets where we already have. So each market, the distribution is different. Some markets it's very high, like markets like some of the European countries, as well as in South Africa, Australia. Some of these markets, we have big market shares in this product, but many countries it still needs to ramp up. And some of the larger countries, we still expect to get approval still. So I think overall, it's got a lot of steam still to go as far as Raltris goes.
Team left for that to move up. If you could just highlight in terms of the progress for the specialty pipeline as well, any update on that front?
So on the specialty pipeline, as you know, like we have sort of in-licensed a couple of products like Winlevi, etc. So I think going forward, even during our investor day, we had guided that we should, in the course of next couple of years, we should at least have a 300 million kind of sale. So I think we with all these kind of filings as well as in-licensed products, I think we should see close to that number going forward.
Thanks so much for taking time out and joining in, sharing with us the outlook on the quarterly performance. More importantly, what the outlook is for the India business.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.